today we're going to be going over some branding and marketing topics, just a few things to start with on branding your brand. So three things we're going to go over today are going to be your headshot, what a good headshot could look like and should look like, and picking a brand strategy for your business. Basically, that can go two ways. It can be you're branding yourself and your name and how that looks, and then or branding a brand and a business name and entity and going that route. And then the third topic is going to be business cards. So nothing super complex or crazy, just some good tips and tricks on how to effectively make that stuff look good. So first we can start off with the headshots. And anybody that's on the call is welcome to jump in and say, ask questions or chime in with any good stuff on this. This is an open mastermind. And I know like Nikki is on the call and that she knows a lot of this stuff. So if you have anything to input, feel free to do it. If not, thanks for being on the call. So as far as business business headshots go, I have a lot of experience with this just from the years that I've had been in the business, and I've just gotten so many different calls and people reaching out to me just based on my headshots. And my very first, I've only had a couple. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because some people age and look a lot different than what their headshots show. But as far as the style has always been, this is, I think, quite effective. So I always recommend doing a black or very dark backdrop. And you want to have at least one of your headshots, like your headshot that's going to be your professional headshot, like on business cards and on a lot of internet marketing and all that stuff. It's going to be more of a bust. So about what you can see on me, actually, in this video, definitely not a Dayglow shirt, but, have on something nice, something dressy. I have some with suits and ties, mostly. Sometimes I take the jacket off and I just have a tie. Sometimes I take the tie off and I do that. So I do different ones when I'm doing my photo shoots, but ultimately you want warm light and you want a dark background and you want it to be a bust shot so that you have a crisp, clean, actual business headshot. I've gotten so many calls over the year. My first headshot I had, people literally, I'm brand new in the business. This was like 11, 12 years ago. And people would call me and say, hey, you know what? I'm looking at your photo on online. I found you online, and you just look like a trustworthy, good professional. I say, and I always say, hey, well, thanks so much. It's working then. I fooled you, and just kidding though. And they got a lot of laughs on that. But I'm like, yeah, thank you. I get a lot of calls from that, and how can I help you out? Whatever. So it's important to have a really clean and fresh and crisp business headshot like that. And I wish we could show a photo of mine. Do you know how to do that? Like my headshot, my current would. Look and see if you can figure that out, Tara, and we'll pop it up if we can. There you go. That's one of them. That is just a good example of one. Now, of course, this has been edited and stuff. Like there's just a little bit, my face is redder than that usually, as you can see. But anyway, the cool thing is that you can edit it and make it. We'll go back to that, please, Tara. I'm going to show a couple things, point out a couple things. And it has to do with the lighting and background. Yep. So see, now this is nice because this one is actually pretty cool because it's not actually a pitch black background. So you can see that my black suit, there is some contrast to the back. And it could even be a tiny bit lighter if you wanted, but I wouldn't go much lighter than that background. And I just wear black and white. That's almost what I always wear. It just looks crisp, clean, and good. Now, I advise to stay away from black backdrops, white white backdrops. The white ones don't look professional. They don't look good. Sometimes marketing people or design people will recommend that because it's easy to cut you out and put you in other marketing pieces with the white background, but it doesn't look good. It doesn't look professional. It looks fake and weird. There's no such thing as like a real pure white backdrop like that. So it doesn't look natural. It doesn't look good. Stay away from those. And if you have to pick other colors, that's fine. But I'm telling you that through the years, everybody that has been on my teams and worked with me, this is how their stuff looks. I give these photos to the photographers and say, I want it to match exactly like this in format. And if it doesn't, we send it back until it does. So then everybody looks good. Everybody looks the same and it's uniform. And I'm telling you, we get lots of phone calls from it. So, and then the lighting is just, good. It's not too bright. There's nothing washed out on the face and whatever. And it just looks good. So that's what you want it to look like. So now there are lifestyle headshots that people do, and that's fine. You can get those too, but that's not what you want to put on your general marketing. You don't want to have think of a square, like this square, put onto whatever piece of marketing that you have. You don't want to have that. Yeah, you can show yours, Tara. You don't want to show. Yep, there you go. See, she just got hers done. Very similar. So we want to get something along the lines of that. But if you have like a tree or like flowers and all that stuff in the back, when you go to put that onto a marketing piece, it's just not going to fit or look as good. You can cut all that out, but then you have like daylight lighting on you. It doesn't look like studio, like good professional lighting. So those are going to be more for, think of, to put into a magazine or into, there are different pieces where that might make sense, but not for your professional headshot. You want to look more along this format. And that's about it, I think, on headshots. Any thoughts on headshots from anybody? Tara, you have any ideas or thoughts on it? I know you're new to the headshot game, but what do you think about it?
Yes, the black is very simple. The photographer loved it. He loved the simplicity of everything when I went in, and so he highly recommended it as well. Very professional looking.
Good. Okay, well, we can get rid of the headshot then, and we will, if there are no other questions, we'll just go into, and I don't know if you can copy and paste a link into the chat, Tara, or the headshot or anything, or where people could go and look at it and share that with their photographer in the future. Okay, let's move on to the next piece, which is we're going to talk about two types of brand strategies. I'd say in the real estate world, 90 to 95% of people use their name and their likeliness as their branding. Now, and then I would say, 5 to 10% of the other people pick a brand strategy and an entity or logo and a business style branding and brand that way. So I'll tell you a little bit about the differences of the two, and then, maybe pros and cons of each. So I would say that 90 to 95% the people that are branding with name, in my case, it would be Shay Black, but we'll get into why my name is Shay Black and how that all works. But I think the reason it's the simplest and easiest way to get started, because you can just brand your name and you don't have to do any DBAs, which is or fictitious name, business name, any of that stuff, doing business as. It does make it a little simpler. As far as real estate associations and stuff are concerned in each state and different places, and we'll get into why that's important. And of course, it's easy to make the face recognition, and you're just building your face and your brand. And as you go out and meet people, it's a pretty simple strategy, and it makes sense. It's simple. The second way to do it is to create a brand, like I have. Like, do you have maybe a photo of the Black Owl brand? Now, the Black Owl brand for us, it's Black Owl Realty, or Black Owl Realty Group, is a brand that I came up with because I want people to have a visual logo just to look at, and they know exactly what it is and what it means and what it does, just like any other big business. So businesses across the country think in this, yep, that's it, in this style, right? They come up with a brand, they come up with a name, they come up with a thing. Like I always like to use the example of who is the CEO of Target. You don't know. You don't know any of the people that work at Target at a high level because it's not important. The importance is the brand and the cleverness of the marketing and the quality of the service and all that stuff. So Target is a really great one just because the logo is the name. It's an actual target. It's a target, a bullseye. So that one's a really clever and good way to do it. Mine isn't quite that clever, but I just like what I came up with, and I like to put in an animal. Some people put in animals, some people don't. But I took a long time to build that exact one that I liked, and you can do this in any kind of, but you want to make it a sharp, easy, not complicated, not overzealous logo. Simple, clean is what you want to do, not cartoony or it's hard to explain without showing you some of the other styles. Like you can think of your local muffler shop or something, like small businesses that haven't thought about branding in a big way. And actually our logo has changed over the years too. And another time we can show more about that. But anyway, so this way, if you do have a brand like the Black Owl brand, first of all, I ran into problems with the divisions of real estate because in certain states, they wanted your last name in your real estate group or team name in order for that to be legal. Or you have to do a DBA, or in the state of Nevada, they don't allow it at all. So I was trying to do that in the state of California. I did multiple DBA applications and all these things, and they came back wrong, and my broker was pressuring me and giving me a hard time. So it was easier for me. So my real name is Shay Hasselman, but I changed my name to Shay Black to make Black Owl Group fly in any state I go to, because now my name is in it. But the whole key and point of that is that I don't want my name necessarily in it. I don't want people looking for me or my face. I'm building a business that one day I can sell or give to my kids or do whatever I want. So I don't want people looking for Shay Black. I don't mind people looking for Shay Black that works at the Black Owl Group, but I don't want people looking just for Shay Black. So that also works out for people that are on my team. People aren't looking for, like Nikki used to be on my team. So we don't want people looking for Nikki at the Shay Hasselman Group. Like Nikki's like a subset of this other guy. I didn't like the idea of that. Like, it doesn't make sense to me that, so having at the Black Owl Group, just Shay works at the Black Owl Group just like Nikki does. So Nikki can build her own brand at the Black Owl Group, and I can build my name brand there. And so that's the reason that I went that way. And so it just depends on what you're thinking about and what you want to do. If you don't think you ever want to build a team or build a big enough business that you can sell, which you don't have to pick a brand name and or entity name to do that, but it makes sense if you want to do that on a kind of a large scale. And if you want to break into other markets and expand into other states, cities, and other things, which I did. So having not my name in it, but the Black Owl brand just makes that so much simpler. So if you are just more of, doing it on your own, you like doing it on your own, maybe you have a couple people work with you, and that still works to have branding your name. So I could still be Shay Black or the Shay Black Group and do that. And I do know of a few people, I'm talking one or two, maybe three ever, that I've heard of that have had their name in the group and they sell it. What's his name? I think his name was Paul Herveau, was actually one at Keller Williams in San Diego Del Mar. And he's a guy from France, and he came in and he blew it up. He built amazing, huge business in like 5 years. And then he sold it. He sold it to another guy, another super top agent there, but just sold his book of business. So the way that looks is the business and all the contacts and clients that you've been working with over the years, you basically sell that to somebody or whatever it is. And I'll tell you one way that kind of can be structured. And you basically have just bought their business. You're not going to say, I'm Shay Black at the Paul Herveau Group. You might, but more likely in those cases, you're going to maybe get an introduction from Paul Herveau and saying, hey, you know, this is my business partner, so-and-so, Shay Black. He's coming over and taking over this stuff, and he's going to take great care of you. And I'm happy to help at any questions or transitions, stuff like that. And it's quite lucrative. So Paul made out really well. New guy bought it and got all of that business going and just incorporated it into his own business. So that super works and it's super smart too. And then what they call it is the golden handoff. Now, I don't remember exactly how the golden the golden handoff works, but it's something like, let's say you buy the book of business for $100,000 or $200,000, right? And it just depends on how many people are in the book of business, how long it's been going, you know, how much money the company makes and nets per year, and what the database looks like. But let's say it's $100,000 just for a number. And then the first year, you work in partnership with the seller of the business and the buyer of the business pretty much work together, and you do this introduction part. And so it could look like, and honestly, I don't know the exact numbers, but let's say it's like 35% of the sales from the seller's side, so Paul Herveau, let's say, selling to me, he gets 35% of all the sales in the first year from his book of business. It could be more than that. I don't know. Maybe it's upwards of 50%. I don't know. And then the second year, it goes down to, let's say, 20%. And then the third year, it goes down to like 10%. And maybe it even goes to fourth year at 5%. But anyway, it's a step down. So each year, Paul Herveau does a little bit less with the group and is a little less involved and gets paid less, and boom, boom, boom. And so it's a nice transition, and it's a win-win for everybody. Because if you just were like, here's the book of business, see you, my friend, then you're trying to call people and they're like, I don't get it. What happened to Paul? Like, what's the deal here? So that is the structure. I'm sure I messed that up a little bit, but you at least get the idea of how that can work if you're using your name. Now, I'm sure if you do have a brand and an entity name set up, then nobody's really looking for Paul anyway. Nobody's looking for, or in my case, if I sell the Black Owl Group, nobody's looking for Shay at the Black Owl Group necessarily. For the last couple of years, I've rarely done much production myself anyway. So everybody that's working at my company is not me. They're just looking for people at the Black Owl Group. And another funny thing is, if you have good branding and good marketing, people all the time tell me like, oh yeah, I've heard of you. I've heard of the Black Owl Group. Yeah. And I'm like, chances are they haven't. I'm not that big of a deal. But it looks like, it's very professional. It looks like it's legit. And they're like, yeah, that looks familiar, even though it's not. So good, crisp, clean marketing is important for that. Just for professionalism. People say they know you when they don't know you or have heard of you. But it's like possible because it's like, wow, yeah, that's something they could have heard of, right? If it's just like Shay Hasselman, although that works strangely for me too, only because there's another guy out there with the Shay Group. His last name is Shay. And so people all the time, oh, I see your signs everywhere. And I'm like, yeah, that's not me. I was like, well, actually, I just let that guy market for me. He's a super nice dude. So he markets for me everywhere. And that kind of confuses them. They think I'm serious. I'm like, I'm just kidding. That's a different guy, not me. But I'm glad it made you think of me. So when you're selling a business brand, and that's just a totally different thing. And you think typically in that case, you would have a little bit more structure with administration employees and transaction coordinators and files and maybe some agents to go with it too. Because a lot of times people that are just branding themselves don't always have very many agents. They can. But if you have an actual business and brand strategy set up, that might have a whole complex team of buyer's agents, seller's agents, or listing agents, and showing assistants, and multiple admin for marketing, general admin, and stuff like that, or transaction coordinators, and maybe even some junior buyers and training type folks. So those are kind of the two ways that I would say that you could go so you have to think about, like, how serious are you about this? Do you want to treat this like a business? You want to treat it more like a fun hobby, because it is fun. It is fun, and it doesn't have to be complicated. So it kind of depends on how involved or how structured or how ambitious you want to be in building, something big that's sellable and scalable. That's the other thing. Scalability is tough when you're trying to just do your name and your face. I mean, you can only go so far. You can only talk to so many people on the phone, all that stuff. So all great things to think about. Tara, do you have any questions on any of that stuff that might delve deeper in any of those parts?
Well, if you're trying to develop a logo, there are websites out there that you can, a couple $100 go on and develop a contest, tell them kind of what you're looking for, and they will have graphic designers from all over submit logos for you to choose from. It's a good way to.
Can you put those in the chat?
Yep.
Or even maybe pull up the website for that 24 hours logo. Is that what it's
48
called?
hours
840.
logo.
Yeah, I always get that mixed up. 48 hours logo. Why don't you put that in the chat box and then pull it up maybe on the thing, and we'll just show it on the screen, because as we record this, the chat probably, people can't see the chat, but if we flash to that. So 48 hours logo is a good one I've used over the years. That's how I came up with my Black Owl brand. So if you see at the top there, it says right there, 48hourslogo.com. This is a new one that we're working on for my coaching and mentoring program. So they're using a lot of my Black Owl logo, which I'm not going to use because that would be way too confusing. I just sent it to them to say, like, hey, I want a logo that looks like this, but not this at all, but something cool and clean and whatever like this, but not this. Anyway, you get so many people from all over the world and different, lines of, we have 305 entries in, how many days was it? 2 or 3 days?
2 days.
And 2 days? So if you pay for more, you get more days, and then you get to invite designers that you've used in the past. Go over to the poll one, we'll show. So you get all these, you can ask them to adjust it for the couple days, and then you'll get down to the ones you like the best. And then I put this out on Facebook as a poll for people to vote on the finalists that I liked and that Tara liked too. So we went through these things, and now we need to pick our finalists, and then we're going to go through revisions on that, and then we'll have our final logo, and then we start putting that on everything. And I think another name, that's good on that one, Tara, thank you. Another URL for that is, I think, 99 Design. But it's cool. And if you have some photos or ideas of what you want to look at, just look up logos of any company and anything you like. And if you have a few of those, throw that on to your criteria and say, hey, I like the looks of this or this. And you get to tweak it a lot, and then they'll brainstorm, come up with stuff. And then you can ask them to make changes on everything, and they'll tweak it. Even before you pick them as a finalist, before they're even close to getting paid yet. So super cool. And then on another one that I did for that is, after I got the owl part, then I paid to have a contest for a branding package. So they made truck wraps, koozies, t-shirt designs, stickers. I don't even remember what else. Cool stuff, like 5 or 6 different things, and they made these packages full of it, of ideas and things. I tweaked them and blah, blah, blah. And then when they're done, they send you all these designs in usable, printable, like I can go into a truck wrap place and be like, here's what I want for the truck wrap. Like it's already laid out and designed. They can just take it, tweak it however they need to a little bit for the exact dimensions of the truck and slap it on there. Same with koozies. I mean, I just went straight to gotprint.com or wherever I went for koozies and swag. I know I get my business cards from there, which we're gonna get to next. And it's just real quick. You just upload it and boop, boop, it prints it all out. It's made, the designs that people will make are 95% of the way there just to be printed, if the formatting lines up exactly. So cool. Any other questions or ideas on kind of branding strategies, marketing strategies in general? Okie dokie. Then we'll move on to our last segment. I think we're doing good time-wise. We're shooting for another 10 minutes or so, maybe 15. I think we started this just a little bit after 11. So the last part we're going to go to is business cards in general. And go ahead and queue up gotprint.com for that one, Tara, and pull up those ones that have the 6 centers. So with business cards, I suggest, I'll tell you a few things. So of course there are different styles. You can go horizontal or vertical. You can do round corners. You can do straight corners. You can do fat. You can do skinny. You can do glossy. You can do matte. You can do your headshot on it. You can do it not. For the first, I bet you 7 years or more, as I got started, I never put my face on it at all. All I did was have maybe the owl logo on it and my name and whatever else. I didn't even have a headshot on maybe my very first one I did. Either way, for the majority of the beginning of my career, when I quickly went to the top 1% in real estate in Las Vegas, it was just my name and my logo and stuff at Keller Williams at the time. And I think I did even then have kind of the thicker, yeah, okay, so this shows, see how it's kind of sandwiched? There's the top layer that's, in this case, white, and then there's a middle layer that's black, and then the bottom layer is a skinny white one too. So let me see we'll try another one, see if there's the first one maybe, like the first picture. Let's just look at the pictures of the examples. Yeah, so that's an example of a rounded one. Yep. Anyway, you can at least get the idea of the thickness. These are very thick, and then you can pick a velvet so this one's called Trifecta Black. So it's got the 2 center outside pieces, and then you can do green, blue, red. Gotprint just happens to have the least expensive cards that I found, best bang for buck on any of them. How many is that for? 250. Go to like 1,000. 189 bucks for 1,000 thick ones. Go to vertical. Okay, there you go. Now I'm seeing a lot of luxury brands come up with the vertical, and it looks tight. My next ones we're designing as soon as we get this Wise Agent logo done. We will have these vertical ones. They look very, very good. You know what? I don't know that anybody would care if I showed their. I have a couple here that are cool, if I can find it. Did you take the ones, Tara? Like Pete Middleton?
Yep. Yep. There, I will.
You have it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have it like there that you could show? Pete Middleton's is just really cool. Anyway, the reason you'd want to do the velvet touch, for one thing, is very soft on your fingers. It feels kind of buttery. And on my particular business cards, and I'll do this again, it'll just look different, but on the back of mine, it's white. and it's a matte finish. This is not, these are cheap. These are really cheap. Actually, that is a little bit glossy, but not too glossy. These are the cheap free ones that EXP used to give free ones out to new agents. So there's a headshot on there. I mean, these are not good quality. It looks fine, for what it is. I mean, it's not super, I don't love them, but like it does the trick for free, right? And the front, I have, my branding, all the stuff that I have to have on there legally. The headshot looks terrible. It's just not good quality. But on the back, I like to leave some white space so that people can write on it. So if you're at an open house having an open house, you can write, I don't know, your phone number should be on it anyway, but just any other little extra info or take some notes or whatever, you can write it on there and give it to them, or they can take notes and put it on there. It's always a handy thing to have on business cards. So if it's all black on all sides, nobody's writing anything on it, which is something to think about. Pete Middleton's doesn't happen to have any white on it, so it's not like required.
I can't get
but
it
again,
to flip to my screen.
What's that?
I said I can't get it to flip to my screen to show you. You might have to do that on your.
Oh yeah, just hold them up. It's fine. But just hold up Pete's because I want to show. You're a little too close, I think. Yeah, that's good. So see, he's got a beautiful picture of a sunset and stuff. And if you could see it in a better quality visual, it has like really bright oranges and reds and yellow. It's like a sunset at the ocean on the beach, and the water has washed across the sand. It's really cool. So I didn't know you could put that high of a quality of photo onto your business card. I never even thought about it, but it is vivid. Flip it on the other side. And then it's just nice and clean on the back. So Pete Middleton happens to be like on the chair of the luxury board. So there's a luxury division at EXP now. So everything they're doing is high level, high quality luxury stuff. And this is part of that package you get when you're with luxury at EXP. Very cool. Definitely check it out. I am not yet, but I've been luxury at KW and other places my whole career. So you don't have to, if you want to buy that type of card, you can get it from Got Print for one. What's another super common business card place or printing? Trying to think, it's super common. There's a bunch of different places. Scott Print just happens to be the best bang for buck. I'll tell you one other thing while we're on it. By the way, most of the people, and especially the fat card ones, are squared corners. I haven't seen many rounded of those. You can get actual round ones, round like a disc. You can get those unusual shaped ones, or you can get one that's a little bigger or a little skinnier. Sometimes that backfires though, because sometimes people like to put those in their wallet or carry them around and put them in a stack. And if it screws up their stack, like I have stacks. I collect stacks of business cards. Like here's just one. And I'm telling you, I don't know how many of these. I have a small box full of bundles of people's business cards. Usually I go through them and put them in a database of some sort. But anyway, for the ones that don't fit into my bundle nicely, they don't go in it. So I don't keep them. If it's like a weird round one that's too high than the other ones and it doesn't stack nice and I can't file it or store it correctly, it goes. And there's such thing as a giant business card. They're like oversized, so they stick out of the stack. I don't keep them though because it doesn't fit my stack. So, and then there's skinnier ones. Those might work. I'm just not a fan, but if you want to stand out, that might be a way to go. One last thing I was going to tell you about, since we're talking about business cards and where to get things, is there's this place called Lowen Sign Company. I don't know if you can pull that up, Tara, but you might not be able to share it anyway. Put it in the chat for one. Lowen Sign Group. And they're based out of Ohio, I believe. I've been buying my signs there for years, and it's cheaper to get them from there. Like I'm talking about the 36 by 24 inch giant aluminum double reflective sided for sale signs that you hang on the hooks. And one last cool tidbit extra on this is that, and they're very helpful with your design. So if you get this logo stuff figured out and do all that and give it to them, they'll do that. They'll also help you just design one yourself if you want. Tara, I don't know if you have a picture of my newest open house sign. You probably don't have. It's in the data in our thing somewhere. No big deal. We can show that another time. Or if anybody ever reaches out to me and says, "Hey, can I see what your sign looks like?" We'll send it to you, and I can send you the invoice of how much it costs and everything. It's like $500 for 5 of them, maybe $500-600 with shipping, something like that. And what I do now is I don't, and this is just an idea. A lot of people think they're going to stay at their same brokerage forever, but then you might not. And now I'm in multiple cities and states. So what I do is I put all the brokerage and maybe a phone number and that kind of stuff on a rider. So I have my big sign that says Black Owl Group, Shay Black, blackowlgroup.com, and whatever. But any of my compliance stuff I like to throw on a rider. So then say I need to get 5 of my signs in San Diego to Las Vegas, to use there, let's just say. Well, I can just take them and move them there. But if it's on the sign or I move brokerages, then I have to get all new signs. Whereas if it's just on the rider, then you only have to get new riders. See what I mean? So much cheaper, much easier. The riders aren't free and they're not, but they're way less expensive than a whole sign and the shipping and all that. So Low End Sign Group is just a great place to get signs for the best bang for your buck. I challenge you to go ahead and look for a better deal on signs, and they're great quality and they're beautiful signs. And I like the reflective because at night when cars drive by, it lights them up like a Christmas tree, So that's about it. Any questions on any of our marketing tips and ideas for branding today? Sarah, you got any last thoughts? Or did I do a good job?
Did a great job.
Okay, good. Well, thank you all for joining me today. Okay, thanks for coming, Nikki. And I hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you next week. Do we know what we're talking about next week yet, Tara?
Networking for real estate agents and why it's important.
Ooh, that's a good one. So we'll see you next week for networking tips and tricks on how to get in front of the most agents and make deals easier to do when you know all the agents in town. Hope you have a good week, guys.